As a follow-up to my video series on why you can't lose weight around the belly when you have thyroid disease or even Hashimoto's, I received a ton of questions about my thoughts on high-fat, low-carb diets like a ketogenic diet or like a carnivore diet for people that have hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's or Graves'. And maybe you're watching today's video and you have hypothyroidism or Graves' or Hashimoto's disease, and you're thinking maybe you should try this kind of diet, but you just don't know if you should do it considering you have thyroid disease or some other kind of gut problem. So in this video series, I want to go over why I'm not a fan of ketogenic diets when you have thyroid disease or Hashimoto's, some of the problems that I see when it comes to the gut and ketogenic diets, what thyroid labs you really need to pay special attention to if you decide that you want to embark on this ketogenic journey. And so, hey, I'm Dr. Hagmeyer. If this is your first time to my YouTube channel or even my website, I'm glad you found your way here. I have over 200 videos and 900 pages on my website on everything really from female hormone imbalances to thyroid health, to blood sugar problems, to gut problems and histamine intolerance and mold, and really many of the problems I so often see when working with patients in a functional medicine clinic. So I hope whatever brought you here that you find what you're looking for and that you come back to this site frequently, come back to my YouTube channel. Now, there's a lot of energy and effort that goes into shooting these videos and editing them and uploading them so that you can be empowered with information that most doctors aren't really aware of, or they're not, at least not going to share with you. And I only ask one small thing in return. If you find this kind of information helpful, please like, comment, and subscribe. When I see this, I know this information is really just having a positive impact on people's lives, and it encourages me to keep putting out this content to help people like you. Now, with all that said, let's jump into today's video. All right, so low-carb, high-fat ketogenic diets are becoming increasingly popular for everything from weight loss to autoimmunity. Most women start a ketogenic diet for the purpose of weight loss. Usually they're struggling with hypothyroidism or Hashimoto's. Numerous studies and patient experience show that ketogenic diets can help lose weight and that they can be very effective. But does that mean that a ketogenic is right for everyone? And should certain people with certain health conditions, such as thyroid disease, Graves', and Hashimoto's, should they start a high-fat, low-carb ketogenic diet? You see, many well-known functional medicine celebrities are huge advocates for ketogenic diets. They built their entire practice around ketogenic diets. But I'm going to be honest and let you know up front why I'm not 100% in and drinking this ketogenic Kool-Aid like many of my celebrity colleagues. And in this video series, I'm going to go through why I'm not sold on high-fat, low-carb diets for people with thyroid disease. So what is this keto diet, right? Well, the keto diet usually calls for eating very low carbs. Typically, you're at or below 50 grams, 5 or 10% of your total caloric intake. Fat accounts for 50 to 65% of your caloric intake. And while you don't need to memorize those numbers, it is essentially a high-fat, low-carb, low-fiber diet. Now let's get into some of the reasons why I think keto and hypothyroidism and keto and Hashimoto's really aren't always a good mix. Okay, so number one is that carbs are not your enemy, right? Carbs are needed to make thyroid hormones. When it comes to carbs, obviously there's good carbs and there's bad carbs. And while I'm all for cutting out all of the bad, simple, refined carbs, the sugars that I think just most Americans eat just too much of, I don't believe that limiting good carbs so aggressively is good for long-term gut health. Now, to understand why keto and hypothyroidism don't mix well, it's important to understand how the thyroid works. Now, as I explained in past videos, most thyroid hormone, T4 in the thyroid gland, is not ready to be used by the body. It has to be activated, it has to be converted. And one of the most important places is the liver and the gut and the kidneys. Bacteria, and this is done through a bacterial process called deiodination, and this is the process of converting T4 into T3. Now, you see what happens is these gut bacteria, these commensal gut microbes, can convert inactive T4 into T3 sulfate, which then can be recovered as active T3 by an enzyme called sulfatase. Research shows that carbs are an important part of this deiodination, and they directly impact the levels of T3 in your body. And carbs in your diet directly impact how T4 gets converted into T3, which is the functional form of thyroid hormone. When diets are too low in carbohydrates or they're too restrictive from a nutrient perspective, this can be perceived by the body as a stressor. And the effect of stress on thyroid health is well recognized and it's well documented. Chronic stress affects almost every aspect of thyroid hormone pathway. Studies show that stress impairs pituitary function, which is the release of TSH. It affects T4 to T3 conversion, resulting in low T3 and higher circulating levels of reverse T3. I talked about that in my last video, that from a biological standpoint, when this happens, it makes perfect sense. If your body is in a catabolic state where tissues are being broken down greater than they're repairing, the body's going to slam on the metabolic brakes. And one of the ways it does this is by increasing levels of reverse T3, decreasing total T3, which puts you in a hypothyroid state. And again, that's designed to conserve energy. All right, so that's going to wrap up today's video. If you have questions about today's video, drop them in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer those for you. If you have interest in working with my clinic, you can reach out to me by visiting my website. If you haven't downloaded my free thyroid yet, you can do that by visiting my website and clicking on the free guide section. And lastly, if you like this video, after you give it a thumbs up or subscribe to the channel, I recommend that you watch this video next, where I'm going to touch on ketogenic diets, inflammation, and specifically how the gut is influenced by high-fat, low-carb diets like carnivore. All right, till next time.